appointment times. So if you suddenly panic and you think you can't remember when you're seeing me, don't worry, just go on Teams. The list looks very small, but when you go and click on it, it makes it a nice big list. The other benefit of having that list there is because all the meetings are all very compact towards the beginning of the time, if you miss your slot for whatever reason, you can go and see on my list where I've got blank slots later on in the evening. So say for some reason you've got a 5:20 appointment and you can't make it, then just on Teams, just send me a message saying, oh, can I have that 6:10 slot, or can I have that 6:20 slot? Okay, so so do bear that in mind if you because when everybody's just confined to 5 minutes, it's very easy to overrun. The other thing you'll see I've done on Teams, I have included the Zoom link. Okay, now Mr. Smith will have sent through a schedule with all your various Zoom links for all your subjects, so that's your starting point for your parents. But in the past, that list has sometimes got a bit corrupted. So if you find that Zoom link for me doesn't work, just go and copy and paste the Zoom link that I put on Teams. And thirdly, if Zoom doesn't work at all, I'm just using Teams as a backup. Okay, so I've got so on one laptop I'm gonna in my office I'll have Teams running, and then the other I'll have Zoom. So if for some reason the Zoom's not working for you, just go, I'll start a meeting on Teams that runs all evening. Just join that meeting when it's your designated slot. All right, so I think that's it on the admin for tonight. Has anybody got any questions about tonight? I'm only going to have positive things to say about all of you, so none of you need to worry. Even the one or two of you perhaps got a bit behind at times, you caught up nicely. So, you know, nobody's going to needs to worry about that I'm going to be saying anything negative, because I think you've all progressed really, really well. So today's lesson I anticipate being pretty straightforward because it's a review lesson. And if you do finish this quite quickly, I just want you to reflect on a few questions that I've got on the third slide, when you just reflect back on how you found the remote learning for maths. So if you do have a few minutes at the end, just drop down a couple of notes, because what I tend to do in Parents' Evening, I do sort of throw it over to you to start with. I'll just say, you know, how do you feel it's gone, you know, the last month or so. So if you've had a time just to think about your answers, it's a bit better than if suddenly I sort of catch you off guard. All right, so this is the revision lesson. As I said, I've set 10 questions on Dr. Frost. I think you'll find these pretty straightforward. They're very similar to what we did in first form. In fact, you've probably seen this very same slides before. So a football team scored the following number of goals this season: 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, and all that. And I'm asking you to work out the mean, the median, the mode, and the range. Okay. Remember, the mean, median, and mode are the 3 types of average, whereas the range is really a measure of spread. It's a measure of consistency. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the next slide and just talk you through the answers to this, because you've seen it all before. All right, so just wait for the slide to click through. There we go. So, as I say at the top, it's the same question. The 3 are the averages, and then the range is a measure of spread. So, how do you work out the mean? That's the one when you add all the numbers up and you divide by the number of numbers. So, if you were to add up all of those goals, so you added up 0 and 0 and 1 and 1 and so on, you would get 36. You then divide that by the number of times the football team played. So, you add up the number of numbers, which is 15. And you would get 2.4. Okay, and it's absolutely fine that the mean is a decimal. It doesn't have to be a whole number. Now the median is the middle one, but remember you do have to put them in order from smallest to biggest first. So go and pop them all in order. Then I would suggest you just work your way into the middle. So just sort of lightly cross out the number on the left and the number on the right, and then lightly cross out the second one in from the left and the second one in from the right, and work your way in to find the median, the middle one. If you've got an odd number of numbers, then the middle number would just be on its own. If you happen to have an even number of numbers, then you're going to have 2 numbers in the middle, and you've just got to work out the midpoint between those two middle numbers, okay? Or if you like, just the average of those two numbers, the mean average of those two numbers, so just add them together and halve it. So that's the median. And then finally, the mode is the one that happens most often. And you will see at the top that on 4 occasions, Forest Green Rovers scored 1 goal. That happened more than anything else. So the mode is 1 goal. Okay. Now it is possible to have more than 1 mode. Okay. You could, if they'd scored 1 goal 4 times and 2 goals 4 times, you would say the mode was both 1 and 2. You don't go and average them. And then finally, the range is what you get when you take away the biggest number from the smallest number. So obviously the biggest number of goals they scored was 6. The smallest number of goals they scored was 0. 6 take away 0 is 6. So that's the range. Okay. Now what I'll do when I finish this recorded bit, I'll leave this slide on the board so you can just refer back to it when you're doing the questions. And then, as I mentioned a bit earlier on, if you have some spare time at the end, which I expect you will, one thing I would like you to do, please, is just to, as I said, just to reflect on how you found the remote learning the last few weeks. So, you know, have you found it okay or not? You know, be honest. You know, did you enjoy it? Was it something? Did it work well for you? If it didn't, then that's fine. And then also, you know, how do you feel you've progressed? Have you found that you've been understanding it okay? Have you been finding you could access Dr. Frost all right and all of that? So it was just give you a few bits and pieces to say tonight. If I go and say, right, so and so, you know, how have you found it over the last few weeks? So spend a few minutes on that. Some of you aren't quite bang up to date. Some of you have got a few tasks that you haven't begun or a few tasks that you haven't finished. So please do go back and just improve any of your marks for the remainder of the hour. Just on that note, I was just, because I was gathering together my spreadsheet for tonight, so I've got something to cast my eye on. A lot of the exercises that I've set you, if you've got over 50%, I've just gone and sort of closed the task down. I've called it complete. Now, the reason I've done that is then it then comes up at my end. So if it's marked as complete, it doesn't mean you still can't go back and improve the mark if you want to. I'm hoping just because I've said it complete, it doesn't mean you can't access it anymore. OK, but because I just felt that at the end of the day, if you've managed to get over half marks and something, you know, that's fine. You know, that's a good effort for an hour's work. So I didn't want it to look like it was still something you had to go back and finish. I was trying to just sort of draw an end to all of this, given this is, you know, pretty much our last lesson, isn't it, as we go back to school. OK, so anybody got any questions they'd like to put on the record, that they'd like to have recorded, that they think might be beneficial to everybody else to listen to? No. OK, then I will just go and stop the recording. Stop the recording now. And if you could just rattle your way through those questions, please, that would be good.